we're looking forward to heading to another national championship. Got through our SEC championship, was a tough loss in the finals against Auburn, so we might have an opportunity to play them again at the championship. But I'm looking forward to this group of girls. Is a great group of girls, so I know they'll bounce back, and that loss probably only lit a fire underneath them, so I'm excited to see what they can get done.
All right, we'll go front left.
Yeah, so I was going to follow up on that question. That's twice you lost to Auburn, Coach, so you had some time. So how has your players moved forward from that, you feel, looking at them?
From Auburn. We do a lot of film review, So the one neat thing when we do postseason competition is we're not riding our own horses. So it ends up being on neutral horses. So we take the film from all year long, from the Big 12 championship, from our championship, and try to really dissect those horses and learn those horses' quirks and tendencies, so we're a little more prepared going into the championship because there's no home field advantage, and it truly is just a level playing field. So a lot of film review on horses, and then obviously themselves as well.
We'll go third row on the left.
Coach, having played Georgia twice already and splitting that, how do you take that experience into this championship game, or match, rather?
Yeah, well, there's a confidence boost that goes in there, knowing that we are very capable of beating them. However, different day, different horses, different set of judges, so I don't think this group takes anything for granted. And any SEC team we play is going to be extremely tough.
All right, we'll go back row. Right there, east.
Talk a little bit about the venue and having the championship there every year.
Sure. So the World Equestrian Center's in Ocala, Florida. This will be the third year that we have had it there. Previously, it was in Waco at their expo center. The World Equestrian Center, it is the Disneyland of equestrian centers. So it has anything anybody would want, from restaurants and shopping, and then obviously the horse care and the stalls and the arenas. It's as good as you can get. So being able to showcase our sport there, and there's going to be another competition going on, another quarter horse show going on. So knowing that that will be there at the same time is a privilege to our athletes to be able to go ride there, but also our horses are going to be taken care of really well.
And what are the strengths of the team right now heading into the championship?
I think our reigning team has been really strong. The other strength, I know that this group of girls, the sport of equestrian is challenging because it is a very individual sport, and they're in there and they don't have to rely on their teammate to get them the ball or anything like that. But this group behind the scenes, especially watching them hosting the SEC Championships, I know you guys know, is a huge undertaking, and watching them work behind the scenes, this is a very tight-knit group, and they work really well together. We still will take horses to our championship. We just won't be riding them, so we'll still have that responsibility. But I'm very proud of the reigning team and how they've come out the end of the season. And the rest of the group, it's there. I know it's there. And there are some mistakes that were made at the SEC Championship where you just can't have mistakes at this level. And so I know they'll be able to clean those up too.
All right, we'll go back behind the lights to Daryl.
Coach, you have won national championships. You know what it takes to win those. Can you talk about this group and their, ability to be able to get past the SECs where they didn't deliver, but to deliver on a bigger stage?
Yeah, you can definitely defeat yourself by the losses, but that's what I was talking about this group. I have not seen that in practice. I think, if anything, it lit a fire under them to really go the extra mile and make sure they're watching more film and they're really dissecting and working with coaches and working with our strength coach. So as far as the attitude going into and the confidence going into our national championship, it absolutely is there 100%. And this team has been able to bounce back for sure, because it's challenging. We had a really good beginning of the season. We were rolling, and then things didn't go so well. So obviously, as a coach, you want your team to peak right at the end, so we're doing a little bit backwards. But I have not seen anything from these girls that gives me any reason to think that they don't have the confidence and they know it's in there. The little mistakes that we made at the SEC Championship are absolutely fixable, and they won't happen again. So that's, the good thing is, we know that that won't happen again, and the talent 100% is there, and I know the confidence is there as well.
All right, we'll go front left.
Coach, I wonder where the sport is, when I know A&M added this sport a long time ago, and where is it now? And in regards to that also, I usually think of SEC as being the best, but I noticed this year, I think TCU and SMU have kind of been seated up higher. So just those two general questions, if you could answer.
So, in the past, prior to the last 2 years, the only teams that have won a national championship were the SEC teams. So, last year SMU won it, and then the year before that, Oklahoma State won it, so they broke into that streak. So the SEC, they are an extremely tough conference. The Big 12 is a tough conference as well, but when we moved to the SEC, it was an eye-opener for all the sports, but for us as well. So I think their recruiting is getting better. I think the athletes in high school understand a little bit more about what we do, because it is different than what they do in high school when they're showing their own horse. Coming to college and showing a different horse and understanding that format is a little bit different. I think the interest in young ladies has really grown. I get kids sitting in my office now that say since they were 5 or 6, they have wanted to ride on an equestrian team, and that's why they got a horse, and their parents kind of put their daughters into lessons. And so I think the sport, because it's been around for quite a while, it has changed and molded that way, and we've got a really deep pool of very good athletes now across the country. As far as the sport goes, we're still considered an emerging sport, so we're sitting at 25 or 26 schools. The National Collegiate Equestrian Association is the one that is in charge of running it, and it's basically committees of coaches and administrators. And so part of our goal is to promote the sport to different departments to try to get them to add the sport.
All right, we'll go front right.
It's one of these big picture questions, but just how ideal is Texas A&M for equestrian with its agricultural background and wide open spaces, room to ride and things
Right.
like that as well?
It was an easy fit for Texas A&M when they added it back in 1999. It was a partnership with the athletic director, Wally Groff at the time, and Dr. Gary Potter, who was the head of the equine science department. And it was a really good marriage. I actually was a grad student when we were doing it and started there. And then when I was hired, I was even teaching classes in the equine department. So as we were growing, it was a really good marriage. The facilities were already there, the horses were already there. So the equine science department benefited from the athletic department financially kind of supporting the facilities. And so it was an easy add for an ag program. And I think it's just added for the public perception and knowledge of horses at Texas A&M of having a successful equestrian team. So it's an easy add for ag schools, and especially ones with the equine science department. And then just as we've grown out of facilities and have moved. We moved to the County Expo facility for 5 years, and then we were very blessed with Mr. Hildebrand to come forward with a very large donation to build the equestrian team their first facility. So it's 10 years old now, but it was the first facility the girls have ever had, the first locker room the girls have ever had. But it was all in conjunction with an equine emphasis that was campus-wide. So when you're talking horses, everybody thinks campus-wide, vet school, rodeo team, the equestrian team, and so it's an easy add, and it definitely makes sense.
All right, final question, Coach. Can you talk about your 4 All-Americans that were announced yesterday and just what they've meant to the team this season?
Yeah, so having consistency in this sport is challenging, as you can imagine, because each competition has one person's opinion that's deciding who's winning that. So having those consistency from those 4, and that confidence going into our national championship is a huge part of it. So they've been great contributors in and out of the arena. Obviously, they've been great as far as the points that they've earned for the team. But I couldn't be more proud of them because it can be challenging and it's easy to kind of get down on yourself. But they have mentally been very tough all year long, even when a couple of times things weren't going well. But mental toughness is huge in our sport when you don't have a stopwatch or your numbers up on the board when it's just one person's opinion.